Welcome back to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. With me in studio is Anil Barut. And I have asked him to come in here for two purposes. One, he just recently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And secondly, it is the advent of Modi's visit to the United States. He's been here before, but now he comes under the Biden administration. We want to talk a little bit more in depth about that relationship that America has with India and some of the other things that may be common to a lot of folks about Indian businesses and everything else that they provide here in the United States. Anil, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jeannie. Pleasure being here.
Well, a little bit more background on you. You are the Senior Director of Vantiva's Connectivity Product Portfolio and business. You've held numerous leadership roles in high technology industry, ranging from sales, product management, and business development. And you've been responsible for delivering complete end-to-end solutions, software and hardware. Now, that sounds like the profile that most Americans think of as somebody who is super educated and of Indian descent. Let's face it, you guys are remarkable when it comes to knowing your technology and being great businessmen. I think everybody respects that.
Well, thank you, Jeannie. It's a pleasure being here. And, I would say I've dabbled in technology here and there in my lifetime.
Well, another thing that I think people should be aware of, you're an executive board member for Three Fires Council Boy Scouts of America. You have also been the public affairs director for BAPS, and that is tell me BAPS.
BAPS is one of the largest Indian organizations, Hindu organizations in North America. And we are doing a lot of great work, working out with outreach into the community, but also helping assimilate our folks that come over from India, but also folks that are here into the fabric of the United States. It's a social, spiritual organization. There's a spiritual aspect to it, but there's a social aspect. And we've given back to the community in numerous ways, whether it be walkathons, blood drives, bone marrow drives, leadership within the women's wing. And I know you've attended several of our events. Yes. And I think you've walked away with a very positive experience.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. I've visited your BAPS temple there in right off of 59 in Bartlett area. And I guess I didn't understand. I thought it was more of a church, a spiritual organization, but it has this social compact, and it's also there to reach out to the broader Indian community in the United States.
Yeah, I think, really we really are looking at this as we, think globally, we're really acting locally. So our intent is really to help the greater DuPage County area and the suburbs that are surrounding Bartlett. We've had a phenomenal relationship with the mayor of Bartlett. We've worked
actually with everybody that I know of.
We've worked very well with the county, with the police,
yes,
with the fire, with the sheriff's department. And I think the county has been very, very welcoming. It's been extremely welcoming and opened us greeted us with open arms. And we always are looking to ways to give back to the community, whether it be to the police, to the fire, to the food pantry, in all different ways. So we feel that if we can give back, and there's different ways we can give back as a volunteer organization, it strengthens the community at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if you're Indian, if you're of different ethnicity.
No, it doesn't matter. You're all Americans.
We're all Americans, and
right,
we want to help everyone and anyone that is in need through the proper channels.
Well, I also think it's terrific that you are on the Schaumburg Business Development Commission, and that's an official commission of the village of Schaumburg. So you're also dabbling into a little bit more of the political realm, but from a business standpoint. And Schaumburg's a strong business area, and you are phenomenally known, your culture is phenomenally known for being really good business people.
Yes, I think with the mayor of Schaumburg, Tom Dale has been absolutely phenomenal. He's actually reached out to the overall community, bringing in talent. He has appointed a board member recently of Indian descent. He's got several folks in the community, and his intent is to have the makeup of Schaumburg and the leadership represent the community and the population and the demographics that it serves. So, and he's been very thought-provoking, very innovative. He's wanting to bring in new ideas, new concepts, and bring in businesses to really propel the economy.
So let's talk about that a little bit more, because I think this is where there needs to be a broader understanding. I think most Americans now view China as a competitor, as somebody who doesn't play by the rules, somebody who's not fair, somebody who has curried curried or attracted big business to their low cost, low cheap labor force and their fossil fuel energy that supplies all the manufacturing capability for them. But they do feel like China does not have America's best interest in it. They're not a true fair trading partner. That is not like the relationship we have with India. And I know you travel to India for business quite frequently. Why is we have so much more trust in the Indian government? Why is that? What's special about Modi? He's been there now since 2014. Apparently, you guys don't have term limits because he's working on year 10. What's special about our relationship as in the U.S. with India and specifically under this prime minister?
So you kind of look at this from a different perspective. First of all, I've been raised in the U.S. My father migrated here in the late 60s, came to Stillwater, Oklahoma, did his master's. I'm a naturalized citizen. I came over when I was about 2 years old. I became naturalized when I was in high school. And when I look at India, I look at it from a U.S. perspective. My lens goes out from that, say, what is India about? And I've made countless trips to India, and I've seen the great progress that they've been able to make, not just economically, socially, helping all kinds of folks there, people that are less fortunate, people that are middle class. He's actually been able to bring a lot of vibrancy, and he calls it, you see the vibrancy, you see the step, the excitement, the people are moving and wanting to really have a business-friendly environment. I think the relationship with the U.S. and India has always been very collaborative. And the Prime Minister Modi, I actually had a chance to meet with him in November of 22. We met at his residence.
Wow.
There was a delegation from the U.S., from Israel, and we met with him. A very genuine individual. You could tell he was very caring. We met probably about for 45 minutes. He walked around, introduced himself, met with each of us. And it was not just a photo op. It was really understanding what were the issues, what was our reason to be there, looking to see how he can foster more collaboration within Israel, within the U.S., and people living abroad. His intent is really to see how he can take India to the next level, working with partners such as Israel, U.S., and the folks in the Middle East, but across the world.
Well, he's had to solve a few little problems along his borders, right? So there's been tension in recent years with China, the actual incursions by the Chinese into India, what is, I think, is disputed space in their mind, but you know what your borders are. And then you've got Pakistan, who, let's face it, is really kind of a rogue actor in the region. What has he been able to do about that, and where are the threats coming from to India?
So that whole area has been very, very much of a challenge.
And by the way, the reason I think this is important is because we have such a strong relationship with India that we wouldn't want to get pulled into something with India, defending India, if they're able to handle things themselves. So the regional security pacts that are set up currently are important for us to understand as Americans as well.
So I can't speak for India. I speak as an American, looking at it
I want to make sure that people understood that.
Looking at it from my vantage point, and I can only speak on the behalf of Anil Barrett. I can't speak for anyone. But from my context and the way I kind of look at it is there's been a tension with Pakistan since separation in the 1940s. That tension has always existed. I believe over the years and under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, the tension has been substantially reduced. Things have been put in place to make sure that things are neutralized and there is greater, more prominent peace along the border. And that's really his intent, is to create peace. It's not to create turmoil. Now, at the same token, he has reached out to his neighbors, the neighbors of India, in a very positive way to see how they can work together and make sure that they understand each other. It's about solving problems, right? There's different ways to go about it. And I think he has taken the high ground between him and his leadership team and Jay Shankar, who also has made some substantial inroads in terms of foreign policy. And I think India has done great strides to see how they can improve the border between themselves and Pakistan. When it comes to China, China has some incursions. They've done some encroachment. And I think the Prime Minister and the team has said, wait a minute, stop. We're not going to take it. We're going to push back. And this is maybe disputed, but how come it became disputed just recently? This has been our land for many, many years, and you have to applaud them, because if someone comes into your backyard and takes it over, you have to take the necessary steps to protect your turf.
Yes. So it's very interesting, because I think regionally speaking, they're willing to defend themselves. However, when you look on the world stage, they've been very reticent to really get involved in a similar incursion by the Russians into the Ukraine territory. And so to some degree, they're leveraging, or they're trying to stay out of a conflict that they don't want to get involved in, would you say?
So my perspective is, first, you got to make sure you protect your borders,
sure,
protect your home area, and then with your neighbors, and then look at the policy and what they do with Ukraine and adjust accordingly. Russia's a trading partner, America's a trading partner, and China's a trading partner. So they're trying to balance that to come up to some optimum solution. The Prime Minister has gone on record and said he'd like to see an end to the conflict. I mean, there's no reason to have people lose lives over a conflict. I'm sure there could be a peaceful resolution if we get the interested parties together and say, time out, let's see if we can come up to some type of solution here. You're seeing innocent lives, you're seeing destruction of buildings, destruction of really capital, and it's not the right thing to do.
There's a large group of Americans who feel the same way. A lot of conservatives actually feel that way.
Well, either they're conservative.
But there's other conservatives who say, look, this is the chance to really destroy the strength of the Russian economy.
This isn't really about being a Democrat, Independent,
no, it's not
or Republican.
At all. No,
it's really about
yes.
individual lives, right? No life should be lost in war or in terms of any kind of battle. I mean, no one wants to see any loss of life, because at the end of the day, we're given this life, and it's a very precious life. We've got one chance.
Let's just pull this concept a little bit further, because I do. It's very inspiring to see that what the Indian culture has produced in terms of intellectuals and good family values and students who succeed. And there seems to be something culturally going on, and it doesn't matter if you were born in India, if you were born here. Culturally speaking, there's a real emphasis on education, on productivity, and on respect. And I think that that's really bode well for you here in the United States. Would you say the same?
Absolutely. So, I kind of have to go back to my father. When my father came here in the 60s, there were not a lot of people from India. He was one of few. He didn't face any discrimination. He, went to Oklahoma. He had to learn a new system. He got a phenomenal education with the University of Oklahoma in Stillwater. He made a lot of friends. He moved to the Midwest. He was a mechanical engineer. He is a mechanical engineer. He grew through the ranks of engineering through the automotive industry. But when you look at it, it comes down to some of the core beliefs that Indians have, is that belief in strong education, the willingness and grit to work hard and really to be able to stand up on their own 2 feet and not take any handouts. The other is really understanding of family values and faith-based philosophy, believe in God, and understand that you have to give back, and it's a family unit that survives, that succeeds, and being able to give back to the family, to the community, is really what thrives. And what you're seeing over the last, I would say, probably 50 years that I can kind of recollect, Indians of Indian origin have done very well, because God is great. God bless America, as I kind of call it, because there is no better place to kind of have an entrepreneur here. But folks have succeeded and done well because A, the environment, B, there's an intent to work hard and contribute back and do something locally and be an entrepreneur. You can be, a fast food franchise owner. You could be in the, small retail shops. You can be in the hospitality industry. You can be in the medical. You can be in the legal. You can be in the finance area.
You guys
or in
everywhere.
the technology area. But it's really wanting to be the best and working hard at it. And the foundation is education. It comes back to family values and being able to have a family that works together. And we have a saying, a family that eats, plays, stays together, prays together, stays together. And that's all kind of coming together. It's a family unit, which really is about it around encouragement.
Well, it's also a concept that you are going to take care of your own. You're going to take care of the issues in your own family, and that's where I kind of see India as like, look, we're going to take care of our country. We're going to handle our area. We're going to stay kind of out of other people's lives, so to speak. It's the same thing culturally that you find here. We will take care of our own. And if everybody had that same mindset, America would be much better off. Rather than looking at government for the solution, they should look inward. And I appreciate the fact that you guys are very good at doing that. Your community will take care, and your family, really the basic foundation of it is the family, is not, looking to government for solutions. You're always looking to solve the problems yourself. And I see that kind of as a cultural touch point that goes even further into the political realm.
So I think, it's no different than the American values, that the values were founded upon it. And my father mentions this when he stayed with a host family here. When he migrated to the U.S., I was still in India. My mom and I were back there. And he said, we ate together at dinner. Mm-hmm. We talked. We had interaction, and it was really talking through issues and, talking through, having discourse and dialogue. And he was new, so, he was kind of coming in, learning the culture, and they actually helped him along the way. And it's really those same beliefs that the Indian community believes in. It's having strong family values, working hard, believing in education,
Mm-hmm.
going and working, not just 9 to 5. Most folks working are 12 hours, but they're working to make a difference. But also then looking at it and say, okay, how do we give back to the community? The one thing you've got to realize is the first generation, my parents' generation, it was about cutting, you have two ends, two ropes, two ties, trying to tie them together. You have income and you have expenses. How do you get them to equal out? And that was a struggle that my parents had. It was a huge struggle. I still recall going out for dinner meant going out and ordering pizza and sitting in our car and eating the pizza in the back seat. And my mom would bring, Coke from home because we didn't have the money to pay for it. And eating out meant sitting in the back seat of your car and enjoying a pizza. But it was a struggle. And I still remember my father working as a second job as a draftsman with a big table and moving things around. And he would do that Saturdays. So he would take me with him, and I would have this little bag of toys. He'd take me there because my mom was working, and take me there, and he would be doing work, and I'd be in the corner playing and doing things. And it was a struggle. But then there was also great times. You'd spend time with us in the afternoons, take us to the beach on Lakeshore Drive, enjoying the great scenery, of Lake Michigan. And those are very great memories that he's, been able to give us. But most people are being taught the value of hard work and really being ethical and being law-abiding citizens.
Well, getting back to Modi's visit here in the United States, I was reading from a news report, and it basically says that Modi's visit on June 22nd will affirm the deep and close partnership between the United States and India and the warm bonds of family and friendship, something we just talked about, family and friendship, that link Americans and Indians together. It says that Biden and Modi will focus on their country's commitment to a free and secure Indo-Pacific region, as well as their technology partnerships, including in defense, clean energy, and space. And they're going to discuss common challenges, including climate change, health security, and developing the workforce. Some of those words give me a little bit of a cringe when you talk about climate change and green energy. But that said, what else should we know about Modi that maybe Americans don't quite understand? I mean, you've personally met with the man. You had to have gotten some sort of feeling about his authenticity.
So let me kind of lead with this. As I mentioned, my lens is someone that's living in the U.S. and looking across the Atlantic and saying, okay, what's India all about? So you have to give the Prime Minister credit for everything he's done. He's done a phenomenal job with the country. Now, has he done everything that he should? Has he done everything he could? Probably not. But you've got to give the man credit for what he deserves. And as Shakespeare put it, no one man can please the world. But he's been able to get 99%, and he's gotten high marks if you look at the country. But there's always people that are out there saying, well, this is not that, this is that. You're going to always find that. No one's perfect. And neither am I, or neither are you, and neither is anyone else that's watching. But he's striving to getting a perfect union there. And the work that he's done actually has done really phenomenal. I'll kind of stop with the story is that, on my wife's side of the family, on her uncle's side, one of her relatives actually was part of his security detail when he was the chief minister of Gujarat, and very close to him, and he was with the police. And when I went there and I saw a little writing on the wall, I asked about the details. So when the prime minister, when he was chief minister, had become the prime minister, he had asked that individual, would you be willing to come with me? And he decided, after long discussions with his family, not to. But when he looked at it and he asked why, he says, my parents are here, I've got extended family. This would just be it required me to uproot my family. And the prime minister actually, when he was right as he was becoming a prime minister, went and visited him, which is something not very common. He went and visited his family just to say thank you for all the service that he'd done when he was a chief minister. It really shows the humbleness from the heart. And leadership is about being humble, being courageous, but also having a good understanding of being what your friends and family are about, and being that understanding. And I think he's demonstrated that. So I think this visit to the U.S. is not his first visit. I believe it's his third or fourth visit to the U.S. I think he's looking to build ties, build stronger relationships with America as a whole, and make sure that the media out there has a lot to say about what's negative and what's not working, but there's a lot that is working, and it's working very positively. And he's done an outstanding job, and I believe you have to give him credit. As I mentioned, he's done some phenomenal things. The media will paint him, post him one way or the other, but it's his time, and he deserves absolute credit for the phenomenal work he's done.
Well, I could not agree more. I will tell you, when I shop as a consumer, if the product comes from China, I really look for an alternative. If it comes from India, I'm buying it.
That's good to hear.
So yes, no, I mean, and honestly, I just really do appreciate your culture of hard work and focus on family and education that you bring to the broader community here. We need to reestablish that in more American households, and you're doing your part on that as well. Okay, so we're going to take a short break here, and we're going to return back to discuss your hike up Mount Kilimanjaro.